Welcome back, everyone. For today's video, we're talking about a very interesting concept, the Novotny team. So, the Novotny team is nothing but a double interference. And interference in chess is a tactic where you put a piece, interposing a piece between an attacking piece and the target. So, let's see it with an example. In this case, we're playing white. We're about to promote these two pawns, but we cannot play c8 because bishop takes. And we cannot play f8 because rook takes, right? That's not possible in this position. So the Novotny team, we can see the geometry of the chess in this puzzle. Okay, so this rook is protecting this line and this bishop is covering this diagonal. So the interference might come here on f5. This is the critical square in the position. We're gonna do this in all examples. We're gonna have some interference, some point of concurrency in these examples. So here we can play bishop f5. It looks like we're just hanging the bishop, but here the geometry of the board is saying, okay, if you take with the bishop, now I can promote with this pawn, right? Once the king moves to b7, we can promote the other pawn, and once bishop takes, we can take this rook, and it's completely winning. What happens if they take with the rook? Okay, if they take with the rook, now we can promote this pawn, right? So it's interrupting the communication of the bishop. We can promote this. Once the king moves to a7, we can take the rook, bishop takes, and then we can promote to this queen, and it's winning again. So yeah, we're gonna see these more examples of double interference. Okay, let's see another great example of the Novotny team. So feel free to pause the video on this one. We can also take a look at other moves that are not the solution. So first, what is the threat? The threat is to take this knight, but there is an interference, right? There is, sorry, an interposition. The bishop can take, and now we don't have much. So also this knight is hanging. So maybe as an intuition, we can try and move this knight, but the rook can take, and this will lead to a draw. So this bishop is also hanging. Then, okay, what we want to do is visualize. Every time we look for tactics, we visualize the alignment of the pieces. So the bishop is looking at this diagonal. The rook is looking also at my bishop. This rook is also protecting this rank, and as well as the knight, right? So there is almost like a fourth interference in this position. And now we can go with this brilliant move, which is knight d7. Knight d7, it looks like we are just hanging the knight. But yeah, now we have time. We have time because our bishop is not hanging anymore. And we have time to play rook f3. Rook f3, now you cannot move the knight, right? So the best move in the position is to play c4. Now you can take with either rook is fine. Let's say we take rook h3, bishop takes, and now this is checkmate. So yeah, and anything else, let's say you don't take with the bishop. Instead you take with the knight, you immediately play rook h3. This is checkmate, right? So that is the best continuation you can have for black to take back with the bishop, and it's completely losing anyway. This one is also a beautiful example. What are we doing with white? First, the direction of the pawns, right? We're going this way, and we are down material. So we're playing two rooks and bishop versus queen. But we have a lot of counter attack. Now we can play h7. We can start with h7. Looks really quiet. It's not clear. What are we threatening here? What are we doing? So the best move in the position is to play rook h5 with the intention of playing this, right? G3, rook g3. Now we can give a check here. Rook takes, and the Novotny team, the geometry of the board is telling us something very important here. So what do we want with white? To promote these pawns. And the alignment of the pieces, we have the rook here covering this file, and the bishop covering this diagonal. So the key square, critical square in the position is e5. So we play this just nasty sacrifice queen e5. Okay, given a check, so black has to take. Black has to take, let's say they take with the bishop. Now we can promote to a queen. King has to move, king g5. We can also go for this, but I'm not sure that is winning. So we can even play king g8, given a check. King f4 moves. Now we have this check. And yeah, this is completely winning. This is completely winning for white. Now, let's go back here. They don't take with the bishop. They take with the rook. They take with the rook, so now we can promote this because the bishop cannot take this queen. So we promote to a queen, king g5, this is forcing. We go for something similar, king g8, a check. And now this is completely winning. Once the king moves, we have to, we can give this check and we're winning. We're also threatening to promote this queen, right? So yeah, anything in this position might be winning, but at the end we want to look for this interposition, right? Which was on e5. Let's go back here. Yeah, queen e5 is just beautiful geometry. Okay, this is a simple example, but it may require some precise execution. In this position, we're threatening to play checkmate with the queen. So I would love to put my queen here on f8. I would also love to put my queen here if the knight wasn't here, right? So that will be a checkmate. Let's say I move my my knight somewhere. If they take with the rook, this is checkmate. But obviously they wouldn't take with the rook. They would maybe ignore it, or they can even take with the queen, and we don't have anything in this position. So there is something better than taking this. There is also this alignment, right, of the pieces. If we happen to move our rook first, just to go for this check, then we get into trouble. They also have a check here. They might take the queen. So there's different moves for black if we don't find the right move. So we can play a simple, cool, calm and collected knight f6. Knight f6, wait, if they take with the bishop, this is checkmate, right? If they take with the rook, this is checkmate. So actually one of the best moves in the position is to play queen c1, check, giving up the queen completely, but at least it gets out of the way. And also there is another, like a discover attack on the rook by doing that. So okay, we take this queen. Now bishop takes the rook, and the instinct is to take back, but we also have a check. We look for checks first, and we have this alignment of the pieces. So yeah, this is beautiful. Now we get the rook, and it's completely winning for white. In this position, the Novotny team is not going to be our solution, but it's going to help us understand where the pieces go. The position is telling us, okay, the geometry of the board is the diagonal of this bishop, and now this rank with the rook. So a critical square is b4. Why can't just we play this knight b4? It's actually winning. It's actually fine. Let's say the rook takes. We have mate in 6 from this position. Queen f6, king d5, rook d3, rook d4. Okay, so also don't forget about this bishop. Rook g4, check, rook e3, bishop takes. So it doesn't really matter because we have something better. It's not to play the knight. Okay, and as we saw before, the queen f6 was the second move we made in this position. This is where the queen belong, or the pieces belong, and it's actually not the queen that we have to move. What if we just play queen f6? It's actually fine. It's also mate in 5 from this position, something kind of similar to this. So we can take, and then yeah, it doesn't really matter. We have something more important, which is rook f6. Rook f6. Now king has to take the knight. This is the best move. Now we can give a check on b5. So we're covering these two diagonals, right? It has to be some interposition. The king cannot move any of these three squares. Bishop is covering, queen is covering, and also the knight, right? So yeah, there's an interference, and yeah, this is mating one. Okay, so yeah, very simple. From this position, we have mating two. Okay, this is going to be one of the most interesting examples. So in this position, it looks like queen f5 is a killer move because we're threatening to play checkmate. But now black can play g6. G6, okay, why do we sack the rook? The problem, black has this rook here on this rank. So, and now we cannot continue this game. So, okay, what if we just take this rook? Yeah, that also looks winning. We still have the advantage, but it's not the purpose, right? It's not the best move. Also, not the purpose of this video. So, okay, the Novotny team is telling us the geometry of the board. This bishop is looking beautiful at this diagonal, although the pawn is in the middle, but it's also defending this rook, right? So we have this alignment and also this alignment of the rook. So d6 is the most important square, critical square in the position. Now we can play d6. So we don't even use a piece here, we're using a pawn. Now, okay, what happens if we take with the bishop? Now is the interference is this, right? Now we can go with this idea of queen f5, and if they play, let's say they play taking, they take this pawn, okay, we can just give a check. So that wouldn't even work. Let's say that instead, after queen f5, they have to take, they will have to take this bishop, and then we just take and we're winning. So other idea, let's say they play g6. Now you can sack the rook, sacking the rook. So if they take, now this is check, and they have to move, checkmate. Okay, so we saw the variation when the bishop takes. Now what happens after they take with the rook, which also makes a lot of sense. Now this bishop is no longer protecting the rook. Okay, so it's not even the best move, but we can still play queen f5. Queen f5 threatening to checkmate here. If they go g6, now we can even sack the queen. Sacking the queen, they take back, and now we take here, they move here, and this is checkmate. Okay, so what is the absolute best move in the position? It's not to go queen f5, but since we have this open file, also we can look at this triangle. Now we can even take this pawn, which is really weakening. So after they take back with the rook, we can give a check here, queen c8, rook has to go back defending. So we take the rook, and also again, right, they have to go back. Now the bishop is defending, so we have to give a check here. And yeah, this is completely winning. It's an advantage of 5 points. We can take this bishop, and it's completely lost. All right, in this game, white is going to find mate in 6 by playing knight f5, check, discover attack, right? Discover check, rook h6. So rook takes back, take back with the pawn. Now this knight is hanging, so we take the knight, bishop interposes, and this is mate. Okay, there is something much better in the position. Let's just go back. So we saw all the pieces in action in this mate in 6. The rook is covering this file. The knight is also covering this square and bishop. Okay, so I think we clearly see the e6 is the best square to put one of our pieces, in this case the queen, which is so crazy, right? Like what are we giving up the queen so many times? So now after knight takes, we can play discover check. Okay, this is forcing only one move available in the position, and this is checkmate. So but what happens if they play something else? They play maybe bishop takes. So we also want to play a discover check, but it's not going to be the same one, right? We have to give this interposition to the bishop, so this one no longer works. Now we get in the middle of the bishop and the rook. So again, only move in the position, and now we finish the game with knight e7. Okay, so this is a check, and there is no moves available for the king. Okay, I almost forgot. So what happens if they take back with the rook? Okay, we play queen e6. They take back with the rook. It's the same as the knight, right? This bishop is becoming useless. So yeah, there is no need to worry about that. Now we can play knight g6, only move, and checkmate. Okay. Now with some experience on the Novotny team, feel free to pause the video, identify the critical square first, and then the move. Okay, so we draw the lines here. We have this beautiful bishop looking at this diagonal, and then we also have these two rooks, right, looking at each other. So the critical square is d5. We put our knight here on d5, and let's see the different variations. So let's say the bishop takes. Bishop takes on d5. Now we can take the rook, right? The rook is hanging, and knight, let's say they play knight d4. We can take this bishop. So yeah, and it's completely winning. There is also the threat of playing. Yeah, they have to take with the knight because we have this threat of mate in one, right? So what is the other variation? If they take back with the rook, let's say they take back with not that one. Oh, just out of curiosity, well, here we just take back, right? We just promote. But what happens if they take back on d5? So now this is mating one. They cannot do that. They will have to take back with this rook, the rook d2 to d5. So now we can promote to a queen. We can promote to this pawn to a queen. Once rook takes, we take back, and yes, completely winning. And we still have the same threat, correct? Alright guys, if you like this video, probably you enjoyed this one. Take care, and I will see you in the next one. Bye.